I'm sorry, Eleanor.
Richard Aldridge's hands were steady for 40 years. Tonight, they trembled. He set a crystal champagne flute on white linen. A small chip marked the rim. The chair across from him was empty. It had been empty for 4 decades. The flute would never be filled. Everyone thought he was a lonely old man. They were wrong. He wasn't alone. He was waiting. But for what? And why did the waitress freeze when she saw his face? Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. We love hearing from you. 40 years earlier, Richard Aldridge was 38, ambitious, afraid. New York City glittered under December snow. Richard stood outside a small apartment in Brooklyn. His breath made clouds in the frozen air. Inside, Eleanor was cooking. He could see her through the window. She was humming. Her hand rested on her belly, 5 months pregnant. Richard loved her. Loved her. He was certain of that. But love wasn't enough to silence fear. His father's voice echoed in his mind. You'll never amount to anything tied to that woman. She's beneath us. Choose her, and you lose everything. Richard came from old money, the kind that arrived with chains. Eleanor came from nothing, a waitress at a diner, a dreamer with paint-stained fingers. She was everything his family despised. Richard reached for the doorknob, then stopped. In his pocket was a one-way ticket to London. His father had arranged everything. A position at the family firm, a fresh start, a life without complications, a life without Eleanor. Richard looked through the window again. Eleanor was setting the table for two champagne flutes. One had a small chip on the rim. She had bought them second-hand. They're perfect, she had said. Imperfect things have more soul. Richard felt his throat tighten. He wanted to knock. He wanted to walk in. He wanted to stay. But fear held his legs, and pride held his mouth. He turned away. He walked into the snow. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't leave a note. He simply vanished. That was December 31st, 1984. Eleanor waited for him that night. The ball dropped at midnight. She raised her glass alone. She kept the other flute untouched. She kept it for him, but he never came back. Richard landed in London, like a man escaping fire. He told himself it was temporary. He told himself he would return. He told himself he would explain. But the days became weeks. The weeks became months. His father controlled every path home. Money, lawyers, connections, and shame. Richard worked. Richard obeyed. Richard built what he was told to build. Years passed. He married a woman his father approved of. She smiled in photographs. She never asked about his heart. He had children who called him Sir. He bought homes he never lived in. He signed papers he never read. His life looked perfect from the outside. From the inside, it was a museum. And every year, one day returned like a knife. December 31st. Every year, Richard flew back to New York. He never told his wife. He never told his children. He never told anyone. He found the restaurant where Eleanor had planned to celebrate. It changed owners. It changed paint colors. It changed menus. But the window still faced the street, and the corner table still existed. Table 7, Richard always reserved it. Always. He arrived early. He sat alone. He waited. He watched couples laugh. He watched families toast. He watched midnight swallow the room. At midnight, He whispered the same words. I'm sorry, Eleanor. Then he left. 40 years of apologies. 40 years
sorry,
of silence. 40 years of wondering. If you're enjoying this story, subscribe now. This year felt different. Richard was 78 now. His doctor had delivered news he hadn't shared. 6 months, maybe less. This would be his last New Year's Eve. He needed to know. What happened to Eleanor? What happened to their child? The restaurant was crowded tonight. Couples laughed over expensive wine. Families squeezed into booths. The air smelled like champagne and hope. Richard sat at table 7. The chair across from him stayed empty. His hands rested near the place setting. He kept looking at the door, as if the past could walk in, as if 40 years could be undone by a coat and a smile. Then he noticed the waitress. She was young, mid-20s, dark hair pulled into a ponytail, eyes that seemed too old for her face. She carried plates with practiced grace. She laughed politely at a man's joke. Then she looked toward table 7. She saw Richard, and she stopped. Frozen, like the room had slapped her, she forced her feet forward. Good evening, sir, she said. I'm Mia. I'll be taking care of you tonight. Richard nodded. His voice failed him. Meecher's eyes flicked to the empty chair, then down to the table, then back to Richard's face. Are you expecting someone? She asked gently. Richard swallowed. I've been expecting someone for 40 years, he said. She's never coming. Meecher's smile faltered. Something flickered in her expression. Not curiosity. Not pity. Recognition. Richard felt his skin tighten. Mia glanced down again. Her breath caught. My grandmother had one just like that, Mia whispered. Richard's blood turned cold. Mia kept talking, as if the words pushed themselves out. She kept it on her dresser. Mia said, never used it. She said, it was waiting for someone who would never come. The restaurant noise faded. Richard heard only his heartbeat. He leaned forward slightly. Your grandmother, he managed. What was her name? Mia hesitated. Her jaw tensed. Eleanor, she said, then quieter. Eleanor Hayes. The name hit Richard like a physical blow. He gripped the edge of the table. His knuckles went white. Eleanor. She had lived. She had stayed. She had kept the memory. All those years. Mia's eyes softened for a second, then hardened again. She passed away 3 months ago, Mia said softly. Richard's breath stuttered. 3 months. He had missed her by 3 months, just like before. The baby. Richard whispered. Eleanor's baby. Their baby. What happened to the child? Meecher's face shifted. Confusion, then suspicion. How do you know about that? She demanded. Richard's hands shook badly now. He reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a photograph. Worn edges, creased from being held too many times. Eleanor was in it. Paint-stained fingers. Laughing at something outside the frame. Her hand on her belly. Mia went pale. Where did you get that? She asked. Her voice cracked. I took it, Richard admitted. December 1984. The last time I saw her. Understanding dawned in Meetz's eyes. Then anger, hot and sharp. You, she breathed. You're him. Richard nodded once. You're the one who left her, Mia said. Her voice rose. You're the one who abandoned her. Heads turned at nearby tables. Forks paused midair. Richard didn't care. I was a coward, he said simply. I was afraid, and I chose the easy path. She waited for you, Mia hissed. She waited for years. Richard's heart cracked. And I know, he whispered. She raised your daughter alone, Mia continued. My mother. Your daughter. She worked 3 jobs. She kept food on the table. She never told anyone who you were. She protected your name, even after everything. Richard closed his eyes. I don't deserve that protection, he said. No, Mia replied coldly. You don't. She turned to walk away. Wait, Richard pleaded. Mia stopped. She didn't turn around. I'm dying, Richard said. 6 months, maybe less. Meecher's shoulders tightened. I don't want your pity. Richard continued. I don't want forgiveness. I don't deserve either. He swallowed hard. I just need to know, he said softly. Was she happy?
Was he happy?
If you need to know what happens next, hit subscribe. Mia stood still for a long moment. Then she turned. Her eyes were wet. She was happy, Mia said quietly. Not because of you, in spite of you. Richard nodded. That felt fair. She became an artist. Mia continued. She painted murals all over Brooklyn, schools, community centers, hospital hallways. Richard blinked hard. I saw one once, he admitted. A sunrise over the East River. I stood in front of it for an hour. Meecher's expression softened slightly. That was her favorite wall, she murmured. Richard reached into his jacket again. He pulled out an envelope, thick, heavy. I set up a trust years ago, Richard explained. I tried to find her. I hired investigators, but she changed her name. He set the envelope on the table. It's for her family, he said. For you, for your mother. Meecher stared at it. I don't want your money, she said flatly. I know, Richard replied, but your grandmother earned it. Every penny. For raising a child alone, for being stronger than I ever was. Mia didn't touch the envelope. She talked about you sometimes, Mia admitted. Not often, but sometimes. Richard's voice broke. What did she say? Meecher's jaw tightened, as if each word cost her. She said you were the great love of her life, Mia answered, and the great disappointment. Richard absorbed it like punishment. He deserved it. She said she forgave you decades ago, Mia added, because hatred was too heavy. Forgiveness. Richard didn't know how to hold that. She forgave me, he asked. She did, Mia said. I don't know if I can. You shouldn't have to. Richard replied gently. Forgiveness isn't inherited. Mia looked away. Then back. She asked me to find you, Mia said. She said you would come here every New Year's Eve. She knew. Richard's throat tightened. Why didn't she come? He asked. Meecher's answer landed like truth. Because it wasn't her apology to make, she said. She wanted you to find your own peace. Mia reached into her apron. She pulled out a crystal flute. Perfect. No flaws. Richard couldn't breathe. The matching glass. She wanted you to have it, Mia said. She said it was time. Time for the pair to be together. Subscribe now. The truth is about to come out. Richard reached out with shaking hands. Mia placed the flute in his palm. It felt warm, as if Eleanor had just held it. Mia exhaled. I've been angry at you, she confessed. For years, growing up with the story. The ghost who broke her heart. Richard nodded. He understood. But watching you now, Mia continued, I think maybe you punished yourself enough. Richard looked up at her. His eyes were wet. I haven't, he said honestly. Not nearly enough. Meecher pulled out the empty chair across from him. She sat down. I'm not doing this for you, Mia said. I'm doing it for her. The clock behind the bar read 11:55. 5 minutes to midnight. Mia reached for a bottle of champagne. Then she poured carefully into both flutes. Slow, steady, like a ritual. Richard watched in disbelief. Mitra set the bottle down. She wanted you to know something else. Mitra said. Richard held still. She wanted you to know your daughter was beautiful. Mia said. She had your eyes, your stubborn chin. She became a nurse. She spent her life helping people. Richard's tears fell freely. His hands covered his face. I never knew her, he sobbed. My own daughter. Mitra's voice softened. She died 5 years ago, she said. Cancer, but she lived well. She loved fiercely. She was kind to strangers. Richard shook with grief. He had imagined this moment for decades. Nothing prepared him for it. Mia kept going, because truth, once opened, won't close. She never hated you, Mia said. She didn't even know your name. She knew her mother had loved someone, and then left. She made her own family anyway. Richard swallowed hard. And you? He asked. Mia met his eyes. But you know me, she said quietly. Your granddaughter. Richard stared at her, really stared. He saw Eleanor in her face. The same fire, the same strength. You look like her, Richard whispered. People say that, Mia replied. Around them, the restaurant began counting down. 10, 9, 8. Mia lifted her flute. Richard lifted his 7, 6, 5. To Eleanor, Mia said softly. 4, 3, 2. To Eleanor, Richard echoed. 1 night. Happy New Year! Fireworks exploded outside the window. Gold and silver across the sky. Richard and Mia clinked their flutes. Crystal sang in the air. 2 glasses. Finally together. After 40 years of waiting. Richard took a sip. The champagne tasted like something he didn't deserve. Grace. Not forgiveness, but grace. I don't expect anything from you, Richard told her. I don't deserve a second chance. No? Mia agreed. You don't. She paused. But my grandmother believed in second chances. She added. She would have wanted me to try. Richard set down his flute. I'm leaving everything to you, he said. The house. The money. All of it. Mia shook her head. I don't want. Use it to build something. Richard interrupted gently. A scholarship. A community center. An art studio. Something with Eleanor's name on it. Mitra's eyes widened. She looked down at the table, then up at him. The Eleanor Hayes Art Foundation, she said finally, for kids who can't afford art school. Richard smiled, a real smile, his first in decades. She would have loved that, he whispered. They sat as fireworks faded. Strangers, family, both. Will you tell me about her? Richard asked. Your mother, my daughter. I want to know everything. Mia nodded slowly. I'll tell you, she said, but it'll take more than one night. I have 6 months. Richard reminded her. Then we better start, Mitra said. She pulled out her phone, scrolled through photos. This is her? On my graduation day, Mia said. Richard saw his daughter for the first time, a woman with kind eyes. A tired smile, a nurse's badge, his stubborn chin, Eleanor's strength. She's beautiful, Richard breathed. She was, Mia answered. She really was. They talked until the restaurant closed. The manager didn't rush them. Something about them felt sacred, untouchable. At 2 a.m., they finally stood. Richard held both flutes carefully, like they were living things. Same time next year? Mia asked. Richard's smile faded. I might not, I know. Mia cut him off. But let's plan anyway, just in case. Richard nodded. Same time next year, he agreed. Misha surprised him. Then, she hugged him. Richard couldn't remember the last time someone held him. He hugged her back. Thank you, he whispered. Thank my grandmother, Mia replied. She taught me grace. They walked out into the cold New York night. Snow fell gently. The city sparkled. Richard looked up at the sky, somewhere out there. He hoped Eleanor was watching. I found them, he said silently. Our daughter. Our granddaughter. You did good, Eleanor. A shooting star streaked across the dark, probably coincidence, but Richard chose to believe otherwise. Mia walked him to his car. I'll call you tomorrow, she promised. We have 40 years to catch up on. Richard handed her one flute. The flawless one. Keep this, he said. It was always meant for you. Misha took it carefully. And this one? She asked. She pointed to the other flute. Richard's fingers tightened around it. This one stays with me, he said, for a little while longer. He swallowed. When I'm gone, he added, put them together. Somewhere people can see them. Let them remind everyone. It's never too late to say you're sorry. Mitra's eyes glistened. I will, she promised. Richard climbed into his car. As it pulled away, he looked back. Mitra stood on the sidewalk, snow falling around her. She held the flute to her chest. Richard had wasted 40 years, but tonight he found something he thought was gone forever. Family, not forgiveness, he deserved. But grace he didn't. Some would say it was too late. Richard would say it was exactly on time. Midnight had finally arrived, and for the first time in 40 years, the glass was full. This story was inspired by real events. Names, locations, and certain details have been changed, and events have been dramatized for narrative purposes. How would you rate this story out of 10? Tell us in the comments. To support the channel, subscribe and turn on notifications.